All right, welcome back to MGD 111. We're going to continue putting it all together to try to blend the snowman in a realistic way in this image. In this lesson, we're going to kind of take a look at the direction of the lighting. And this is something that a lot of designers really don't pay much attention to. And this has to do with graphic design and photo design. One of the reasons this snowman doesn't really blend in very well is the light source for the background picture and for the snowman himself are not coming from the same direction. You'll notice if you take a look at the clusters of snow down here in the ground, the light appears to be coming from up here, the top right corner in that direction, and casting shadows here. The snowman, on the other hand, is brightly lit from this side with shadows here. His light is coming from there. We need to make some adjustments to fix that. Now, if we're dealing with something with text on it, or something that is asymmetrical, and would be very obvious if we flipped it around, the following steps won't work. But we're dealing with a snowman here. Nobody really cares what this snowman looks like. We haven't seen it before. He's not the representation of the snowman. So what we're going to do is go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And we're just going to rotate him around. Now, in some cases, that might make a big difference. In this case, it's just a snowman. He looks fine in that direction, too. Notice he blends in just a little bit better now because the light is now coming from this direction and casting the shadows in the same direction. It's a pretty simple thing to be able to do that. I'm going to undo that for now. What we might have to do sometimes, like I said, if it's a person, you can tell if they flipped him around. Or if it's a car, the steering wheel ends up on the wrong side. So you may have to use tools like the Dodge and the Burn tool. You remember that Dodge and Burn, when we're using the Dodge tool here, it lightens whatever area you brush it over, and you can see that we've sort of taken the shadows away from there. If I go to the next tool, the Burn tool, it allows me to add shadows in certain areas. This is a good technique for doing this when you can't flip something around. The one thing you do have to be careful with is very brightly lit areas, like the white here. It doesn't have a lot of pixels to darken, so you can end up with some very contrasty sort of shadows here. So think about the Dodge tool and the Burn tool as ways to do this too. I'm going to undo these, though. I'm going to go back to flipping it horizontally, because in this case it really doesn't matter. So flip horizontal, and I'm still going to use the oops, not that one. I'm going to use the Dodge tool here. I'm just going to brighten up his shadows a little bit. You'll notice that the shadows here are kind of a grayish area. They're not too dark. So I'm just going to brighten him up a little bit in those areas just to try to blend him in. So he's getting a little bit closer to fitting. So I like where this is headed. And remember, when we flipped him around, because we had done this trick with the layers, where this part of the sled is actually a separate layer on top of him, it was okay for us to flip this around and not have to worry that we'd already removed some of the pixels from that layer. So again, we saved our own bacon by doing that step earlier. So hang on to this, pause, and we'll come back and make some additional adjustments.